Standvaste. Standvaste radio. Voor u, voor jou, voor ons allemaal.
Dames en heren, luisteraars van Standvaste Radio. Ik ga praten over de Surinaamse luchtvaartmaatschappij, de SLM. En dat we met z'n allen weten dat dat een hele zware dobber is, al 50 jaar. Ik heb contact gemaakt met in Paramaribo, daar zit Sonny Groeplal. En in Canada, is het goed te zeggen, de heer Thomas.
Yes, Canada.
Canada. How are you, big man?
Very good. Thank you for inviting us to your show.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Ray. Bedankt daarvoor. Thank you.
Yes, Thomas, let me have Sonny first to talk to. Sonny, welcome. You want to do it in English or we going to start in Dutch? You tell me.
Oh, we can, yeah, we kunnen in Nederlands, we can start in Dutch a little bit and then switch to English so that Thomas can understand.
And he can join us. Oké.
Yes.
Als introductie, Sonny, ik volg je al jaren, behalve groot muzikant, maar je hebt een ontzettende affiniteit voor de luchtvaart. We gaan een lang verhaal kort houden. Je hamert al jaren erop dat jij met Thomas eigenlijk de SLM wil gaan dienen. Heb ik het zo kort samengevat?
Ja, heel kort samengevat. Ik kom ook uit de luchtvaartsector. Ik heb 40 jaar geleden luchtverkeersleiding gedaan op Zanderij, 2 jaar. Dus vandaar die affiniteit. En vele van mijn collega's zijn ook bij de SLM gaan werken. En vele van ze ken ik ook nog, zijn hier en daar over de wereld verspreid. Dus we willen altijd dat het goed gaat met de luchtvaart. En ik zag al een tijdje dat het met Suriname, met SLM niet goed gaat. Dus ik heb mijn hulp aangeboden. En ik heb Thomas ook zelf leren kennen via het internet. En ik heb hem dan voorgesteld. Het is niet zo dat hij achter mij aan zit om een borrel te vinden in Suriname, zoals sommige mensen denken. Maar ik wil steeds het beste voor mijn land hebben. En daarom zei hij, hey, die man weet veel, hij is een deskundige. Why not let him also come to the table?
Oké, helder. Sorry, ik weet ook dat jij jarenlang op cruiseschepen hebt gezeten. Het Caribisch gebied, Amerika, noem het maar op. Je hebt internationaal toch wel hoe zou ik het zeggen, een redelijke track record als het gaat om in het internationaal zijn. In het internationaal netwerken met mensen. Waarom heb je uiteindelijk toch weer voor Suriname gekozen? Laten we daarmee beginnen.
Wel, ik was eigenlijk op het cruiseschip in het Caribisch gebied. Hè, en dat is hoewel het een internationale organisatie is het geen Amerikaanse of Europese gevestigde plaats. Dus ik heb ook geen verblijfsvergunning voor Amerika of Europa gehad. Maar ik heb 15 jaar daar gewerkt op het cruiseschip in de Caribbean. En dus na een tijdje had ik er een beetje genoeg van. En ik zei, oké, ik wil nu een leven aan land hebben. En ik was steeds verbonden met Suriname. Mijn moeder woonde nog hier. Dus ik was ook vaak hier. En uiteindelijk ben ik hier dan sinds 2007 ben ik weer terug hier in Suriname.
Mooi. Al die tijd heb jij natuurlijk de SLM gevolgd ook. Hè? En daar ging je natuurlijk ook heen en weer mee. Als je even vakantie had of niet, noem maar op. Wat is het meest storende voor jou, kort samengevat, wat het beleid van de SLM aangaat? En daar hebben we het gewoon over de afgelopen 50 jaar bij elkaar.
Dat ze eigenlijk niet groeien. En dat er altijd een tekort is aan vliegtuigen, waardoor er allerlei vertragingen ontstonden, die ik ook heb meegemaakt toen ik van de eilanden terug wilde naar huis. En ik zag hoe moeilijk het was steeds. En hetzelfde liedje is het nog steeds gaande. En de company groeit maar niet, terwijl er wel een potentiële markt is om te groeien.
Maar je weet net als ik, Sonny, en dan we gaan het niet om dingetjes heen draaien, maar de helft van de vluchten worden gewoon gratis weggegeven.
Zo, dat hoor ik ook hoor. Ik heb het nooit persoonlijk meegemaakt. Dus ik hoor.
Ik ken genoeg bandjes en allerlei organisaties en vrienden en familie en iedereen die Toepa draait. Degene die de macht heeft bij de SLM en als je daar goed mee bent, dan is dat geregeld. Dat is een, hoe moet ik het zeggen? Zo ga je nooit winst halen, hè?
Nee, ga je nooit winst halen. En ik heb 15 jaar gewerkt op een cruiseschip met een zeer strakke organisatie. En een ethische organisatie. En all I can say, als dit gebeurt bij SLM, dan is het erg onethisch wat daar gaande is. Maar dan moet het ook aangepakt worden.
Laten we het gewoon even benoemen. Hè? Het is niet een fabel of zo. Ik bedoel, heel Suriname en de gemeenschap weten het. Dus kokara aan vast aan dit, snap je toch?
Ja.
En anders gaan we nooit een verandering aanbrengen. Mevrouw Jennifer, de nieuwe president van Suriname, mevrouw Simons, die heeft gezegd dat ze abrupt een ommezwaai wil maken in dit alles. Ze wil de SLM nu aan gaan pakken en binnen 3 maanden zouden we van haar moeten vernemen of dat ze de SLM aan gaat houden als staatsbedrijf of dat ze er vanaf gaat zien. En ze heeft ook opgeroepen dat iedereen die affiniteit heeft met de luchtvaartsector zich bij haar mag aanmelden of bij de regering om dat met haar of de regering te delen. Heb je dat inmiddels gedaan?
Ja, we hebben dat gedaan. We hebben brieven gestuurd, die zijn ontvangen. En we hebben ook een gesprek gehad met de heer Baarn. Een leuk gesprek. En aan het eind van het gesprek had hij ons gezegd dus dat we nu kunnen wachten op een call van de president zelf.
Wie is dat, meneer Baarn? Wie is dat?
Dat is Faisal Baarn, dat is het hoofd van de special unit die president Jennifer ingesteld heeft om de problematiek met de blacklisting van Suriname aan te pakken. En natuurlijk ook de situatie bij SLM.
Ja, nu ga ik nog 1 vraag daarover stellen, dan gaan we terug naar Thomas. Je hebt natuurlijk meegekregen dat de SLM geblacklist is in Europa en dat traject zou makkelijk eens 9 jaar kunnen gaan duren, waarbij de president heeft aangegeven dat ze ontzettend haar best wil gaan doen met het hele team om dat terug te brengen naar een jaar, 1,5 jaar, om van die blacklisting af te komen. Hoe reëel is dat?
Oké, dat kan Thomas straks heel goed vertellen, want het is niet zo reëel. 9 jaar hoeft het echt niet te duren. Thomas gaat ons dat vertellen. En die blacklisting, het is niet dat SLM geblacklist hoor. Het is CASA's die geblacklist is, maar SLM zelf is niet geblacklist.
Ja, de SLM mag niet met haar vliegtuigen landen in Europa.
In Europa, juist. Omdat de veiligheidsnormen en de requirements van de waakhond, de veiligheidswaakhond, niet in orde zijn. Als CASA's zijn zaken weer op een rijtje heeft, dan mogen alle luchtvaartmaatschappijen, want GumAir mag ook niet naar Frans-Guyana gaan, weet je. Dus everybody is affected.
Ja, en als we het even zo eventjes willen samenvatten voor de mensen die denken, maar de SLM vliegt toch gewoon naar Nederland? Ja, dat is omdat SLM buitenlandse maatschappijen, van een buitenlandse maatschappij een vliegtuig leest met personeel en alles. En die hebben dan wel toestemming om te landen in Europa. Maar goed, we gaan naar Thomas. Waar heb jij Thomas leren kennen?
Ik heb Thomas online leren kennen. Ik zag hem schrijven over het Caribisch gebied 7 jaar geleden toen ik interesse had om een eigen maatschappij te beginnen in het Caribisch gebied. Toen zag ik hem schrijven en toen heb ik contact met hem gezocht zoals ik gewend ben dat te doen met buitenlandse mensen, weet je, contact te leggen.
Heb je goed kunnen, de man zijn track record goed kunnen volgen? Heb je dat onderzocht met wie je te maken had?
Oh ja, zeker. En we hebben elke dag contact. Hij is een soort collegeprofessor. Ik heb heel veel geleerd over de luchtvaart, over de luchtvaartbusiness. Absolutely. En hij is een mattie geworden. We hebben elkaar nog nooit ontmoet hoor, eerlijk waar. Maar ja, dankzij internet, weet je, WhatsApp en zo gemakkelijk communiceren, weet je.
Nou, voor de luisteraars, die zijn nu helemaal bijgepraat. Thomas, welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, thank you. I didn't catch a single word of that last conversation.
No, we were just discussing the SLM. Discussing is another word, but sometimes words just fit. But we were discussing SLM and the reason why Sonny met you, and the reason why Sonny wants to. Let me say, he wants to offer you to the government of Suriname to help and reach out and help in hand to SLM. And that's what we're talking about in the introduction. Thomas, as we speak, why are you so interested in aviation of Caribbean? Let's specific on Suriname.
Well, I went to Suriname in 1984 to fly for Sky Farmer, and those were the bad old days in Suriname. And you know, but I fell in love with the place, and I got, over the last couple years I've been working with over 10 Caribbean airlines, and I watched from far away how bad SLM was, and I went to Sunny, and we talked about, we got to fix this. This is going to end very badly. And the last 5 years under John and Steve Gamache, it was bad. And now we see the crisis, and everybody's running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were working with Caribbean Airlines, several Caribbean Airlines. What was the job you were doing with these airlines? What was it specific?
Well, every airline has different problems. But for instance, Liat is a Caribbean airline. It got into trouble during COVID. It had lots of debts. And basically what we did was, it was Liat 1974. We put that company into the ground. We buried it and created Liat 2020, a brand new Liat 2020 with no debts. And we found a strategic partner that put some airplanes in there and put some money in there.
Nice to hear. And how did it went? Where is Leah at this moment as we speak?
It's flying. It's flying. They have the strategic partner. It's not the ideal partner. They have Air Peace from Nigeria, which is a very large airline, and they've got now 5 airplanes, and 4 of those have come from Nigeria. So it's working, and it's flying. And we'll see how they progress.
And can you call me the destinations they fly to and from where?
Oh, yes. Well, Eastern Caribbean, so Antigua, Dominica, Barbados, St. Kitts, St. Vincent, Grenada. So, they have a good network. Oh, and they, I think now are going into Georgetown as well, Chedijagan, or yes.
Where do they fly from? Origin? Where's where they?
Antigua.
Okay. And are they making profit, Thomas?
I think, well, they're surviving, and they're adding aircraft, so they must be, but they have a good strategic partner there, a very wealthy Nigerian, Alan Onyema, invested, bought a big share of Liat, and he's putting in money, and he's putting in aircraft. So I think they're doing well, but I haven't talked to them in about a year and a half or so.
Okay, that's good. And what is the time that between that you buried the company and they stood up again till now?
Yeah, it was 3 years, but it was a struggle during the COVID period, so we had to kind of slow everything down. But normally something like that could take maybe about a year and a half.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking you all this, because I heard about your plans and how you want to maneuver SLM into more destinations, more airplanes, the whole plans that Sonny sent to me, and I heard your interviews. You once had a chit and chat with my colleague Frans Pinas on the same radio station here.
Yes,
so
I do recall that. Yes.
You told us all about it. It's about more destinations for SLM, more airplanes, to get more money. That's what aviation is all about, volume.
Yes, it is. Every new destination is a new source of revenue. SLM forgot that. So SLM, through most of its history, has been pretty much six destinations. And it's one of the reasons that SLM is in trouble now, because they didn't grow. It's an industry where you need to grow, because through growth you create value. And if you're just sitting there and not expanding, you will die. Airlines that just don't grow, they always die. And so you have to look, you can't go backwards. They only have 2 airplanes, so you can't go to 1 airplane. The only way forward is to add a few more airplanes so that you can have some more destinations.
And one thing the facts that I know about SLM is if you have 2 planes, 50% of the seats they are given away to friends, family, politicians, name it, famous music
Um,
bands. Everybody flies for free, so you can never make profit on such
That
basis.
also.
Well, look. I've worked with 70 airlines in my career, 45 different countries, mostly developing countries. It's the same everywhere, Yes, the politicians, get free tickets, etc. Little perks, But I think it's a little over exaggerated. I don't think that 50% of the seats would go to people that are not paying, but
Oh,
it happens everywhere.
Thomas, my man, I know about stories that politician who comes to Holland and they go back to Suriname, they reserve 500 kilograms of cargo for
Cargo?
themselves
Ah,
to bring
okay.
gifts and chocolate for the family.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about the chocolates and all that, but yeah. Unfortunately, it's a curse. Look, when these developing countries became independent, everybody had to have a flag, a national anthem, and then a
An
national
airline.
airline, right? And most of those national airlines, these new nations, came in the 1960s, and of course in the 70s was a boom in Africa for independence. And every one of those countries in Africa, that's where I've done a lot of my work. Every one of those airlines has gone bankrupt once, some twice, and actually Air Senegal 3 times. So, it's something that these developing countries hold on to dearly, to have their national airline.
Yeah, and what is your track? You tell me about those companies and what happened to those companies. What is specific your track record with these companies? Did you help them out, or how can I see it?
Yeah. I mean, there are sometimes, look, I don't, if I go in, I don't have that, the kind of control, right? Especially in a government owned airline.
Run.
But I can, tell you that I did the privatization of Air Guinea in Conakry. Everybody said it was a mission impossible, but I got it done. They had 2 Boeings, and we privatized it. I found some Israeli investors, and they added more airplanes, and they put money into Guinea Conakry, which is a country that's pretty much off the radar for most people.
Okay, Thomas. The next question is: you tried it with Sonny, yeah? With you mentioned Chan, the former president of Suriname. Uh,
Yes.
why do you think he never talked to you guys?
Hmm.
Again, because I've been around the world and different countries, aviation is an industry that a lot of people really don't understand. And and that's part of the problem. That they don't understand the industry. It's too complicated for them.
Yes.
They don't even know how big it is. For instance, like right now, Suriname is trying to fix the mess, right? But what nobody has done yet, and that's because nobody's ever talked to me, is they don't even know how big the aviation industry in Suriname is. They have no numbers for it. They don't know.
Explain that to me, please. What do you mean by that? How they don't know how big the aviation of Suriname is?
Economically, right, Thomas?
Yes. So, for instance, how many direct jobs are employed in the industry? So you have your direct people. That's the people that work around the airplanes.
Yeah.
Then you have your indirects.
Let me come in for a second. I can make a guess. It's something about 500 to 700 people for 2 planes.
Well, yeah, but yeah, but then there's also the what is the
I'm an outsider, but I know, so figure it out. Yeah, go on.
Okay.
That meant
So
zoveel.
it's about knowing, how much money does that industry contribute to the GDP, and what is the percentage of aviation in the GDP, and how many jobs in total? Because in the end, you're looking at what the airlines, then you're looking at the airports, you're looking at the air navigation service providers, and then ultimately would be tourism that's supported by aviation. So the numbers, could be big. And let me just give you a quick example, because I have the numbers for Guyana in 2023, and Guyana and Suriname should be pretty much equal, even though Suriname has a bigger aviation market because you have big jets. Guyana doesn't have big jets. They just got small airplanes today, right? They lost their national airline. But let me give you a number for just it's the best benchmark I could find. So Guyana has today the GDP contribution to GDP from aviation is $139 million. $139 million. It comes to 1% of the GDP and employs 3,800 people in Guyana. Those are pretty good numbers, huh?
Yeah, but I think if we compare that to Suriname, in Suriname, it's only taking money from the GDP of 50 years.
Exactly. I'm just bringing it up that these are the kind of numbers that the government of Suriname needs to have if they're going to be investing, which they are right now, in the aviation industry. They should have these kinds of numbers, right? So that they can see what the return on investments are and how big is our industry. Because I don't think that John and maybe the current president, they don't have these numbers, so they don't know how many people does this industry actually employ in Suriname.
Yeah, and for example, if we go back to Chan, then Chan he handed over SLM to some guy named the Haan, it's some bird from Holland.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what's Pernobe, Bisisser, and Safira Yesrun, and they all three
Yes.
ran away, accused of corruption and all kind of things. Is it maybe that's why the Suriname government is not so
Hesitant.
assertive and just holding you far away because they don't need a second Dahan?
Yeah, no, what they did there was absolutely silly. They hired, I've talked to Dahan, and he's a nice guy. Look, they brought in people that didn't have the experience. Zafira did her Embry-Riddle in Florida University, and and Dahan did some work with KLM, with Kenya Airways, but they were inexperienced. They didn't know what they're doing. I don't know why you would go do LLCs to fix Suriname Airways. LLCs are usually, for people who hide money, right? Offshore somewhere.
Another name for the LLCs are the NFAs. Remember, Ray, how many NFAs werden opgericht?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can
toch?
tell.
Yeah.
I can tell you at this moment, as we speak, I'm in let me say, we are in research of the SLM building that was sold here in Rotterdam,
Yes.
and it was sold for less than a quarter
Yeah.
Of its value.
of its value, and we just got information that it's sold between some real estate company that was related to the president. So we all just tracing that all down. But these are
Well,
really clever guys. They did a clever job. Let me.
well, it was, they were not fixing SLM. I've been doing fixing airlines for a long time, and you start with the phase one diagnosis, stuff like that, but you do not go after LLCs. The other thing you do, when I go in and fix an airline, I don't give a hoot what happened a year ago or 2 years ago. When you go and fix an airline, your focus is on the future. Now, I'm not looking backwards. I don't care if somebody stole $50 million. That's not my job. I'm there to fix the airline, right? Isn't that the goal, right? We fix the airline. You got to fix the business. Once you fix the business, you go and fix the financing. Once you got the financing fixed, now you got to go out and get the investors, strategic partner, joint venture partners, and get that money, get some new airplanes, and away you go. But what Dahan and Zafira did, they were young. They're young and inexperienced. That's all I put on. I don't think they're crooks, neither one of them. They just got tied up in some, I don't know, funny, strange deals.
You call it funny, strange deals, but the naked truth is that buildings were sold. There were papers
Yes.
falsed. There were it was a crooked job, and the Openbare Ministerie of Suriname. That's the
The
court.
public
The
prosecutor.
yes, is in search of these people.
Yeah, which is kind of, I think, a shame. But
So then,
look,
I don't think we can just overpass that they were unlucky in some
well,
coincidence
I
or
just tell you that, look, that's not, how I would work. I go, I fix the business, get to the financing, and it has worked for me. But
yes.
I knew right away that this is going to be a disaster, and the last 5 years have been a big disaster. Chan didn't want to listen to us. Steve didn't want to talk to us, but I warned for 5 years that SLM is headed. I used to call it, and I got criticized for it. I call it in Canada. We'll call it, on the highway to hell. And for the last 2-3 months, the aviation in Suriname has been hell. But thank you for the IDB that had and put some money into it, and things are being fixed as we talk now.
Yes, Thomas. Let me be clear with you. We're talking to you, so we did a little bit research on you too. What can
Sure.
you tell me about the companies you work with and everything? Can you please give us your track record one more time? What is your track record? Short.
Well, real quick, I went to when the USSR collapsed. I was in the Czech Republic, and I ended up working with all of the Eastern European airlines. You could imagine it was a mess. They didn't speak English. They had Russian airplanes. They didn't have any co-shares or alliances, and I ended up working with the Polish National Airline, the Czechs, the Hungarians, the Bulgarians, the Romanians, the Albanians, and then through them, I got into Libya, and then eventually into Africa. And I was just at the right place at the right time because they didn't know who to turn to, so they turned to me, and I started fixing one by one. Those were crazy days.
Yes, we tried to do that research, and we just found you in the Suriname news couple of times with this story. We found you very attracted to African aviation, but we didn't find you there. We know you're you are Czech and you are
Well,
Canadian. Do you have these track records on your CV, or where do we find the information?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I work for these companies, and I don't know, it's not going to be in the newspapers and
Oh,
stuff. I mean, the checks.
it's nowhere online or on ChatGTP or whatever on Google. You can't find it. You find
LinkedIn?
you,
Right.
f-
You have LinkedIn, right? You have your LinkedIn, Thomas.
LinkedIn is something you write. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, but they check it, right? They check it, right? LinkedIn, yeah, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm going back to the 1990, and, do
there
you
was
think
no
that's,
internet.
well, no
That's
internet? And do you think that, the Czechs are going to be writing about me, or the Bulgarians or the Albanians? No, I'm
No,
there to fix the
uh,
airline. I'm
uh,
not there for publicity,
yeah. I understand. But I found one company which was associated with you. There was a company that was dissolved. They say it was closed. What does the name Chartwell Aviation Limited says to you?
Yeah, that's a friend of mine, Roger Conway Hyde. He worked for me as a consultant. He had his own company in the UK, and we were brokering aircraft and stuff. And unfortunately, about 14 years ago, he died, and that's when I guess the company went into liquidation or whatever. And I think I had like 5% or something like that, but just to have a place in the UK. But that company, went shut down when Roger died.
And why were you associated with the company? Because he was your friend, or you had something to do with the company?
Uh, yeah, we were friends. He was working for me. He was, I used to have 8 consultants with me, and Roger was the main one because he did all the contracts and stuff like that. So it was just part of all the companies that we worked with.
Okay. Maybe do you think that Chan and his team had do some research on you, and that they found this as information that they didn't talk to you? It could be.
No, they just Steve didn't want anybody, he kept a tight ship at SLM, and I don't know. Look, at one time, I came with Martin Moback, and Martin Moback was talking to Chan about bringing me in. But do you know Martin Moback? Have you ever heard the name?
Oh, I didn't heard of the name now.
Oh, Martin Moback, he's a Surinamese. He lives in Florida. He he was part of the team that built the bridge in Paramaribo. The big
the
bridge.
Botchenbrug.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah, across the
he's
Suriname.
and Martin Moback is he's a financier. You know, he lives in he lived in Florida after university in Holland, and he ended up working with the oil companies in Mexico and Brazil, and then of course in Suriname as well. And that's why I came in 2018. When in 2018 I came to Suriname, I did a presentation to the Surinamese Air Force on some two aircraft that Desi at that time, I guess, wanted, but there was no money.
Okay.
And then we went to see Robbie Lynch missing at SLM.
Okay, let's go to the moment as we speak. At this, the president of Suriname, mevrouw Jennifer Simon, said she wants to make a decision in 3 months about SLM. Should it be thrown away, or should it be handled as it is right now? And in the situation SLM is performing at this moment, it's not going to work. So I think a good idea of you was to sell 49% of the company to a private investor.
Yes.
How serious are you with that?
Well, it's serious. I mean, the partner is big, but you know, look, right now, as is. SLM is not interesting to anybody. Look, it's like a broken car that has no transmission, no tires, no steering wheel. You know, you gotta fix it. You gotta fix it. You gotta make it pretty again. You know, and they're far away from that because as is, nobody's gonna touch it.
And how serious you think they are going to talk to you guys, you and Sonny? What is the chance? What are the odds?
Well, they're talking to us. We're just going to open the door eventually if we, you know, if we get selected to work with Madam President or SLM. They're going to be talking to the Vice President and the President.
Okay, Thomas, and what's in it for you? Let's break it through. You know what I'm saying? Just
yes.
clear.
Well, I want to be able to do this deal, but you know, yes, my number one objective would be I would like to be the CEO of SLM.
So you're part of the deal, and you will be having a salary as CEO.
No, I'm just bringing a strategic partner to the government of Suriname.
You find a percentage between that investor and the government of Suriname. What's in it? What's the cut for you, Thomas?
Well, I want to be the CEO. I want to be the person that eventually, you know, if the government of Suriname does the deal, I want to be part of that to build SLM to that 10 aircraft plan that we have for 2030.
That's a good ambition. The Suriname company had the pilot, Mr. Ganesh, as the CEO. What is it he missed to do the job properly?
What does he miss? You can't look. There's a difference between a pilot and a CEO. You need management skills. You need education in finance, and the pilots don't have that. They're wonderful pilots. They know how to fly a plane, but just because you can fly a plane doesn't mean that you could run an airline. It's business. You have to have experience in running a business, fixing a business. You got to know your you know. Pilots should not be CEOs. They don't have the education or the experience.
Okay, good enough. Good enough. Last question to you guys, Thomas. If you maybe I'm just talking to the next CEO of SLM. What is the function of Sonny Ghoeblal? Where do you put him, man?
Well, you know, Sonny's going to help me get acquainted if we, with SLM because I don't know anybody in Suriname other than Sonny, right? And then there's probably the Dutch being an issue.
Let's make it clear. Sonny will be the right hand of the CEO of SLM.
Well, it won't. Yeah, no, he'll be. Yeah, look, you gotta look. When I work in these countries, whether it's Cote d'Ivoire or Rwanda, look, I always have either a translator or somebody there that's helping me along. Of course, yes.
I agree to that. Okay, guys, let me wish you.
Ray.
Let me wish you.
Ray,
yes, Sonny. Yeah,
go before
ahead.
you go, Ray, you have to ask him the question about the 9 years, right? That we talked about, that the president said to restore, the status of Suriname. And I told him, Thomas.
That's a good one. Thomas, the SLM, as we speak, is blacklisted in Europe, and it could maybe take 9 years to recover that. Although the president of Suriname, mevrouw Jennifer Simons, says you want to reduce that to 1 year. How realistic is that?
Well, my experience is, look, there's a company in the Caribbean that a good friend of mine, Mustique Airways in St. Vincent, a couple years ago, he was blacklisted. He has a small airline, but he was blacklisted because he had some improper documentation, and he was blacklisted, and he got his little company out of the blacklist in 8 months.
Look at that.
8 months. 8 months. How did he do that specifically?
Well, I asked him. He says, "Look, they told us what's wrong, what they didn't like, and they followed it to the T. And 8 months they were off the list. Okay, it's a smaller company, but but it was a blacklist. So,
but they will fly into Europe.
No. They were flying in the Caribbean.
Okay, that's another ball game. Guys, let me wish. Yeah.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I mean it's still blacklisted. So.
But the rules in the Caribbean and the rules of the European Union are like water and fire. Different.
Yes, but you're dealing with the EU on this, so at that point it doesn't matter if they're blacklisted. They're dealing with the same people that SLM or Blue Wing, right?
Yeah. The EU they are stubborn and they are old-fashioned.
Yeah, we know that. We know that they're bureaucrats. Yes.
Okay, guys, I want to wish you all the luck.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Ray.
Let's see what's happening. Let's see if the president reach out for you guys. And let's hope the best for SLM, because the way it's going now, you said something. I will write down. SLM is heading on the highway to hell. That's what you said.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, but it can be fixed. It can be fixed. That's the thing. And the future. That's why we talk about 10 airplanes and 1,000 jobs. It's doable. And the strategic partner that we are now, wanting to look. Nobody listens to us. So, but there's a strategic partner that could change everything for Suriname,
Okay, now let's see, guys. Let's stay in touch. Yes, I wish you a good Sunday evening, both of you guys. Thank you. Thomas all the way from Canada and Sonny all the way from Paramaribo. Bless up.
Very good. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ray.
Je luistert naar Standvaste Radio. Heb je ons gemist? Check ons op standvasteradio.nl.